Sixth grade mathematicians, or at least it's good morning for me. I'm recording this today to help you with your packet on rational numbers. The first page that we're working on is like fractions. It's this one right here, the very first one in your packet. The nice thing about this first page is that because these are like fractions, they already all have the same denominators. Number 1 and number 2 you should easily be able to do because that's fifth grade work. That's just adding fractions with like denominators or subtracting them. However, number 3 does include a negative number. The same rules that we used when we did integer operations with whole numbers are going to be the same rules that we use with fractions, but I want to do one with you just to make sure that you understand it. So we're going to do number 3 together. I'm going to write it on the board so you can see it a little bit bigger. Okay, so here is problem number 3. This is negative 1/4 plus 3/4. Now, usually you just say 1/4 plus 3/4 equals 1. That's really easy, but this is a negative 1/4. So what we need to do is we need to do this the same way that we did with our other integers, and we're going to take and make these into absolute values so we can think about this a little easier. And the absolute value of negative 1/4 is 1/4. The absolute value of 3/4 is 3/4. And remember what it said to do is to subtract them. So I'm going to actually take 3/4 minus 1/4. And when I get 3/4 minus 1/4, I end up with 2/4 because 3 minus 1 is 2, and I keep the 4. That is not simplified. The simplified is 1/2. However, since the 3/4 had the largest absolute value, right, we had to keep the sign that is the 3/4. The 3/4 is a positive, so 1/2 is a positive. So negative 1/4 plus 3/4 equals 1/2. Just make sure to circle that on your worksheet. That's all you're going to be doing through this whole thing. So the ones you need to watch out for is number 3, number 6 are the only ones that have negative numbers. You can do that. All the rest of our positive numbers should be easy breezy. Okay, our next sheet is adding and subtracting rational numbers with unlike fractions. So what I'd like to do is I would like to do number 1 for this, just to kind of review how to do this. It's been a while since you did that. It's all positive numbers, but it may have been a little while. So when we add 1/2 and 3/4, we've got to have these same denominators. Right now the denominators are not the same. I have a 2 and a 4. So I have to think, what can I easily do to make them the same? Well, I know I can easily change 2 into 4. So I'm going to take my 1/2, and my 1/2 is going to be, let's see, times 2 over 2, and that's going to equal 2/4. So now I can rewrite this problem as 2/4 plus 3/4, and there it's written right there. 2 plus 3 is 5. I keep my 4. However, 5 is definitely bigger than 4, so I know that I actually have one whole with 1/4 left over. So my answer is 1 1/4. So 1/2 plus 3/4 equals 1 1/4. Okay, what about number 3? Number 3 is a little harder. I have here 7/15 plus negative 5/6. I've got to figure out something that's a multiple of 15 and of 6. And since I know my math facts, I know 15 plus 15 is 30, and 6 times 5 is 30. So I think that's going to be my best way to go. So 15 times 2 is 30. I'm going to rewrite my 30 down here in the bottom. And 7 times 2 is 14. And I'm going to add that to my negative. And then let's see, 6 times 5 is 30. 5 times 5 is 25. So now I have 14/30ths plus a negative 25ths. I know when I change these into absolute value that my 25/30ths is going to be bigger. So I'm going to rewrite 25/30ths minus 14/30ths. 25 minus 14 is 11. I end up with 11/30ths. I cannot simplify that. Since my 25/30ths is a negative number, my answer is going to be negative 11/30ths because 25/30ths had the largest absolute value. So that is my answer to number 3. All right, guys, the next sheet here is adding mixed numbers. Really, all you need to know is like mixed numbers. It's the same thing as what you've been doing before, except that you're going to add your wholes and your fractions separate. So like my first one here is 1 3/5 plus 4 1/5. I add my 1 and my 4, and that's 5. And then I add my 3/5 and my 1/5, and that's 4/5. So the answer to 1 is 5 4/5. If I end up with a fraction that is larger than a whole, then I need to change that into a mixed number and add the whole part of that number back into the whole number parts. It's pretty easy. All right, our next sheet is multiplying rational numbers. It explains how to do it at the top. Guys, you know how to multiply fractions. You just multiply across the top. That's really, really easy. If there's a negative number, you follow the same rules. Same signs are positive. Different signs are negative. None of that is anything different than what you've done before. The only thing that you might run into is that they have some that have whole numbers in them. And so you can go ahead and make those back into improper fractions. So let me show you an example. I have negative 3 1/3 times negative 2 1/2. And this is question number 8 on your paper. What I need to do is I need to make these back into the improper fractions. So 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. So this would be negative 10/3 times, and then negative 2. See, 2 times 2 is 4, and plus 1 is 5. So this would be negative 5/2. And then I multiply them out. I can simplify here, make this into 1 and this into 5. 5 times 5 is 25. 3 times 1 is 3. Both of those are negative numbers, so my answer is a positive. And then I need to turn that back into a mixed number. 3 goes into 25 8 times, and 25 minus 24 is 1. So the answer is 8 1/3. So what I do is first I take it and I make them into improper fractions. I simplify if I want to before or after. Then I take my improper fraction and turn it back into a mixed number. Okay, guys, and the last page is division, and that's exactly the same as multiplication. All you're going to do then is you're going to keep, change, and flip, and do the same thing that you did for your multiplication. You can do this packet. There's only 5 or 6 questions in each page. There's an example on each page. I'm sure you're going to do well. Have a good day.